Wow.
हो जाएगा अगर हम एलिमिनेशन करें किसी का, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट फेयर. तो आज हम कुछ नया करेंगे. फर्स्ट टाइम इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडियन टेलीविजन डांस रिले करेंगे. एक बंदा शुरू करेगा, फिर उसके बैक टू बैक ऑल द 7 कंटेस्टेंट्स परफॉर्म करेंगे. और मजे की बात ये होगी कि ये डांस रिले जो होगा, उसके बाद जो 7 कंटेस्टेंट्स लगातार अपना परफॉर्मेंस देंगे, फिर हम चुनेंगे बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस और इन दोनों को अपने आप से, और जो जीतेगा तो परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ द वीक का खिताब मिलेगा.
Please, Mr. Nagesh, mute. Please mute your microphone. We can hear every word that's happening there. Please mute your microphones.
Good evening. I request all participants to stay muted. And Ram is busy with some other work, so we have been asked to start the program. So I request Malati Janakiram to chant the universal prayer.
O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other.
Thank you. Just a recall, last week we saw verse 22 and 23, in which Ramana Maharshi says about the I consciousness, which is the only consciousness I, which illumines everything. All other things, body, mind, intellect, complex, is inert. I consciousness remains as a substratum during waking consciousness, dream consciousness, and deep sleep consciousness. Vani gave a very good example of light with the number of apertures in the light and how the light comes through, whereas the light shade itself is inert. It is the light which really gives the illumination. Another example she gave was about the dance drama, where people are acting on the stage, but we are able to see and they are all illuminated by the light. In fact, this is one of the recurring themes in many scriptures about a movie screen or a drama or a dance stage, which remains as a substratum. And the substratum really cannot be understood by means of senses, why the analogy is given about the screen or the stage. But we can't really use the senses to, or the mind to understand the substratum. Of course, we all know that. So we have to transcend the mind and go to the I consciousness or the substratum. So with that brief recall of what we covered last week, I now hand over to Vani Vasudev to continue with Upadesa Saram. Thank you.
Thank you, Chankir. Thank you, Alti, for the beautiful prayer. Namaste and a warm welcome to all of you. This is a special day because it is Teachers' Day also. So each one of you is a teacher. Everybody teaches somebody and everybody learns from somebody. So to all of you, because for this session, I have been doing a lot of manana and the person most benefited is I. I thank each one of you present here as a teacher. Thank you so much for the wonderful learning experience that all of you have been giving me, even through the interaction and the vibrations and that I get from all of you. I'm most grateful for it. Thank all the organizers of the School of Ancient Wisdom, Sajni, Janki Ramji, Ravi, Malati, all those who are responsible for organizing these talks, to all of them also, I'm really, really grateful to you. So I'll just open the presentation. Is it visible to all of you?
Clear.
Yes, thank you. So these are my sources of inspiration for this series of talks. Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi, who has authored the Upadesa Saram, and we are studying those 30 shlokas and gaining so much inspiration from each one of them. Sri Narasimha Prabhuji, the founder of the Self Foundation, who is guiding me on the path of Atma Vichara. Sri Shankaracharya has made Advaita Vedanta so understandable for all of us, and to his Guru Parampara, who have brought it to us. To all of them, I offer my pranams and heartfelt gratitude. Let us begin by chanting Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Brahma Satkamaya together. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva, Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Asato Ma Gamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi and all Sadgurus. Their grace and blessings ignite the light of awareness within us and establish us in the self. I'll just get my earphones. So last time we had done Shlokas 22 and 23. Let's begin by recalling what we had covered. Let's chant Shloka 22 together. Vikrahendriya pranadhitamaha. Can we all put it on mute and chant, please? Thank you. Vikrahendriya pranadhitamaha. Nahamekasat tajjadam hyasat. Nahamekasat tajjadam hyasat. So the translation of the shloka is, this real I, which is only truth or reality, is not the body, senses, breath, intellect, or ignorance. These are all inert and illusory. So that limitations of the body, mind, senses, life force, intellect, and nescience, or the Anandamaya Kosha, or state of sleep. And we understood that because all of these have limitations, I will not go into limitations now. All of them are limited, but the self is unlimited. And none of them has an independent existence. They're all dependent on the self. If the self is not there, none of them are there. So none of them can be the self. We understood that. Then, as Janki Ramji beautifully reminded us, look at the Dakshinamurti Stotram, where all the sense organs are compared to holes in a pot. The self is compared to a lamp shining inside the pot. So the light that comes from the pot is through the holes. That means The self is shining through the eyes, ears, nose, mouth, skin, etc. Also through the mind and intellect. And when we say that I know something, it is because the self is the knowing principle. Self is the knower. Self is the ultimate seer. So because this knowing principle exists within us, we are able to gauge, we are able to perceive things and then say, I know this or I don't know this. Even when I say I don't know this, the subtle truth is I know that I don't know. Therefore, the self is what powers all our faculties, it powers all our instruments, it powers the body, mind, and intellect. The self is permanent, these are not permanent. We look at Nataka Deepa Prakarana in Panchadashi, where the self is the Sakshi or the witness, ego, the mind, the intellect, the senses, all the objects of the world exist only because of the self. Whether they exist or not, the self continues to shine all the time. So the self is independent. Once again, we understood that. Then we looked at, these were the two shlokas, so I will not go into that again. Then we looked at shloka number 23. Let's chant it together. Sattva bhasika chitva vetara, Sattva bhasika chitva vetara, Sattaya hi chit, Chittaya hyaham, Sattaya hi chit, Chittaya hyaham. So we understood, where is another thing to illumine existence other than consciousness? Existence is consciousness and I am consciousness. So Bhagavan is reminding us, or he's bringing to our awareness. He's saying, don't think, because the self is described as Sat Chit Ananda, don't assume that Sat and Chit are different from each other. If I want to grasp a coin, if I have a 1 rupee or 2 rupee coin and I'm holding that coin, can I hold the coin? Can the coin exist without one side of the face? The coin has two sides. The coin is made up of two sides of the face. So if one side is Chit, the other side is Sat. Also, we recollected with respect to ourselves. When we know that I exist, there are two sides to it. Sat is I exist. Chit is I am aware that I exist. Both of them are together. They are one item of awareness or direct experience for me. I cannot separate Sat from Chit. I exist, I know I exist. They arise, they are there together within me. Therefore, Bhagavan is saying, Sat and Chit are inseparable, and you are Sat and Chit, you are awareness. And in Drikshya Viveka, we saw the relationship also, which seer as the self as the ultimate seer. The eyes see the flower, the mind see the eyes, and the self sees whatever is there in the mind. The form is seen and the eye is the seer. The eye is the seen and the mind is the seer. The mind with its modifications, that means all its thoughts, emotions, vasanas, etc., is the seen, and the witness or self is the seer, but the witness is not perceived by any other. So beyond the witness, there is no other seer. This is what Bhagavan is also saying this is what the first shloka of Drik Drishya Viveka is saying to us. We looked at the story of Vamana and Bali and related it to the self and to what the shlokas tell us. We looked at Arthur Osborne and his some of his experiences with Bhagavan. So today we are coming to shloka number 24. Today we will be doing 24 and 25. Before we begin 24, let us have a brief meditation. Can we sit in a comfortable meditative posture? Spine straight, eyes lightly closed. Everybody mute, please. Somebody has not muted. Can mute everybody so that there's no disturbance during meditation? Sit straight, eyes slightly closed. Become aware of your breathing. Slow and deep breathing. Deep inhalation. Slow exhalation. Every time you breathe out, observe that there is a natural pause in your breathing. Every time you breathe in, again, there is a natural pause in your breathing. It happens on its own. Just watch when it happens. Gentle awareness, no stress, no strain. Slow breathing, deep breathing. Watch your mind becoming quieter and quieter. Now take your attention to the direct experience that you exist. I am. You exist and you know that you exist all the time without having to think about it, without needing any kind of proof for it. Is your own direct experience. Very familiar, very constant, also most ignored, Right now, focus completely on I am, your state of being. Just stay there effortlessly. As natural as the sun shining or the wind blowing. It is your natural state of being. If thoughts arise, as soon as you become aware of the thought, if the thought arises, allow it to just be there, come and go as it likes. But if you find that you have engaged with any thought, started a dialogue with a thought, as soon as you realize that, ask who is aware that I started a dialogue. It will take you back to I am state, witness state. Again, stay there. You may hear sounds outside, perfectly fine. You may be aware of your breathing, perfectly fine. But stay with I am. A very conscious state, a peaceful state. A blissful state. I exist. I know I exist. Become aware of your breathing. Become aware of your body, where you're sitting. Whenever you feel like it, slowly open your eyes. Even with your eyes open, you can still be centered in I am. Even with your eyes open, you know that you exist. So we come to Shloka 24. Let's chant together. Keep your mic on mute. We will do lead and follow. ईश जीवयो वेशधिविदा ईश जीवयो वेशधिविदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम्. So here Sri Ramana Maharshi is saying, Isha Jivayor, between Isha and Jiva. Who is Isha? Isha is the one whom we call God. Isha is the manifest self, Saguna Brahman. Brahman is beyond form, beyond space, beyond time and space. He has no form, no characteristics. But under the influence of Maya Shakti, we will be seeing what is Maya Shakti, what is Kalpana Shakti. Under the influence of Maya Shakti, Isha, who has characteristics, who is the creator, he manifests as creation. He is manifest Brahman, and from him creation flows forth. And he is present in every atom of creation. So, Bhagavan is saying, between Isha and Jiva, Jiva is the I am the body, mind, intellect identity, which individualizes us. So we call it individual Atma, Jivatma. It is only because the limitation, as we have seen through so many shlokas till now, the limitation comes only because of this belief or the thought which limits me. When I identify with my instruments, I think I am this body, I am this mind, I am this intellect. So it makes me separate from the rest of the world. It makes me separate from God or the creator. Therefore, I come up with three entities. I say, I am the Jivatma, or I am an individual, and I identify with my instruments. And there is something called the world, which is my entire surrounding with all its objects, with other people, with other creatures, everything. And there is this creator who has created me and the rest of creation. So I have made compartments. So there is this question. If a devotee may ask, a disciple may ask the Guru, okay, then what is the difference between Jiva and Ishwara, or Jiva and Ishwara? Is there any difference? Or is there something that holds them together? So here, that question is being answered. Sri Ramana is saying, between Isha and Jiva, there is only difference of Vesha, Dhi. Vesha, outer costume, outer appearance. And Dhi, that means intellect or mind, or in this case, awareness. Tatsvabhavato vastu kevalam. But if you look at what is the svabhava, the innermost core, if you see the essence, if you look at the essence of it, Sat, the very essence, or the svabhava, that which is intrinsic to an object. That is, if you look at that essence, vastu kevalam, then they are exactly the same. They are identical. They are not different. So if you look at the translation, between the Jiva or individual and Ishwara or creator, there is a difference only with respect to the body or form and intellect or awareness. As far as their essential nature is concerned, both are the same. Both are absolutely real. There is no difference between them. So we may find it a little boggling, a little difficult to swallow. We have been looking at this very concept from the beginning. In fact, right from Shloka 1, we have been looking at it in different ways, like we said earlier also. Through every shloka, Bhagavan is providing us a portal of entry into Sat, into the real, to identify with the real and to let go of the temporal. So with every shloka, Bhagavan is inviting us. He's inviting us and saying, come on, let go of the limited. All you have to do is let go of the limited. Otherwise, you are already that. In every shloka, he's saying that, but he's saying it in different ways, so that every little doubt that we have, these small niggling doubts, because of the conditioning in the mind, which is identifying so strongly with the instrument, which is making me into a jiva, it's not ready to let go. It's acquired a strength of its own, a momentum of its own. And then now I'm questioning that authority. Till now, I am the BMI belief was ruling my entire world. It was ruling how I perceived something, ruling how I lived my life, ruling how I relate to people, ruling how I think, how I feel, ruling everything. And then suddenly, I am questioning the authority of this jiva. I'm questioning this thought, this very basic belief on which I have built up my entire house. I'm wondering whether this foundation is really the true adhara. Is that what I want to have as a foundation for my house? Is this house that I have built so carefully, brick by brick, stone by stone, is that the house that I want to live in anymore, or is it limiting me so that I'm not experiencing or I'm not anchored in my true nature? Is it actually dividing me from my true self? So as I question these things, the jiva gets weakened. So here, Bhagavan is saying, yes, question, be persistent. Don't let go. There will be resistance. Your mind will throw up storms. Your mind will throw up doubts. It's fine. It's fine to have doubts. But when doubts come, remember it's a portal for exploration. It's a portal to question again whether the way in which we have been living till now is the best way to live, or is it leading me to suffering? Is the identity of jiva leading me again and again to suffering? So I can question that whenever a doubt comes. Use portal. So here, Bhagavan is clearing this particular doubt. So let's understand what he means. Let's explore a little more. Sukta. All of us have heard the Purusha Sukta. Most of us would have heard the Purusha Sukta. Maybe some of us chant it at home every day. So it begins, the first shloka of the Sukta begins like this. Sahasrashirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishthadashangulam. So if we translate it, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Purusha is universal being or Ishwara. So the creator has 1,000 heads. Here 1,000 actually means innumerable. Innumerable eyes and 1,000 feet, innumerable feet. He envelopes the world from all sides and extends beyond in 10 directions. So symbolically, the shloka is telling us the truth about ourselves. Can everyone mute, please? Thank you. So the universal being, or the Ishwara, or manifest Brahman, or Saguna Brahman, all are synonyms. He has 1,000 heads. We see in this picture so many heads. An artist's imagination of Purusha or Ishwara. Actually, what the shloka is saying is everybody's head, all beings put together is the Ishwara. It seems abstract when we read the shloka, but actually your head is also one of the innumerable heads of Ishwara. My head is also one of the heads of Ishwara. So heads of all the creatures put together, bodies of all the creatures put together, hands, legs, eyes, yes, all the creatures put together is Ishvara. That means Ishvara's body is cosmic, but I am identifying with only this one body. So in form, the entire creation is Ishvara's body, entire Jagat, that which comes and goes, that which arises and dissolves. The entire creation is the body of Ishvara. But my body is only this body, mind, and intellect. What about Dhi? If you look at this creation, it is a super intelligent creation. You see millions of galaxies. In every galaxy, so many stars, so many planets, so many heavenly bodies, nebula, etc. All of them rotating, revolving, very few cosmic accidents. Intelligence is operating. We come down to the micro level. We have the nucleus, we have the electrons, protons, all the subatomic particles revolving, rotating on its own, super intelligent. A tree, you plant a seed, a small seedling comes, it becomes a little bigger, then it grows into a huge tree. There's intelligence built into every cell, every atom. Take our own body. We don't make the body function. There is built-in intelligence. The heart knows what to do. The brain knows what to do. Eyes know what to do. Every single part of the body knows what to do. If it had been left to us, maybe none of us would have lived beyond the first few minutes. So much multitasking. You have to make the heart beat, you have to make the lungs breathe, you have to make the liver function, you have to make the gallbladder function, you have to make the stomach function, you have to make the kidneys function. By the time you make a single thing, you'll go mad. The intelligence in the body of Ishvara is super intelligence. It multitasks gloriously, so successfully. Whereas for us, our intelligence is limited. What about awareness? Every single moment, Saguna Brahman or Ishwara or the Creator never forgets his true being. Maya is there, but he is not bound by Maya. He is aware of his true state of being. But the Jiva has this condition. What conditioning? The conditioning that whatever happens to my body is happening to me. Whatever happens to my mind is happening to me. Whatever happens to my intellect is happening to me. My self-image, anything happens to my self-image, it affects me profoundly. Somebody praises me, I'm so happy. Somebody criticizes me, I become defensive, I become angry, I become depressed. So anything that happens to my self-image, is body, mind, intellect, all my roles, all my vasanas, all the things I identify with, anything happens to that, it makes me happy or unhappy. My happiness, my inner peace depends on what is happening to these instruments, what is happening to these belongings, what is happening to these relationships. I relate to every person through my body, mind, and intellect. I look at them as body, mind, and intellect. All the time, my inner state of being keeps oscillating, it keeps fluctuating, it keeps changing. But for Ishwara, there is deep peace, there is deep fulfillment, deep contentment. But essentially, we are still the same. I'm identifying with this instrument, but if I let go of the identity, and I can let go at any point of time, I just have to come out of that conditioning. It's just a conditioning. That's all. If we meet somebody and that person says, you know, I'm a really good tennis player. So immediately what kind of conditioning comes into our mind? This person is a very good, is really good at playing tennis, he or she. Then we fix up a tennis match if we also play tennis. We go, one day we go to a club or somewhere. We begin a game of tennis. And suddenly, we may discover this person who thinks he or she is so good at tennis, when he actually plays on the court, not so good at all. And I find it hard. Why? First conditioning. That person is so good. Is so good at tennis is what is there in my mind. Yesterday, when I thought, oh, I fixed up this match, maybe I shouldn't have fixed it up. I'm not that great at tennis, you know. And if this person is so good, then I wonder what will happen on the tennis court. I might show up very badly. I don't know whether I should have fixed it up or not. So maybe I was anxious about it. Maybe I agonized about it. Maybe I thought of canceling, making up some pretext. No, I'm very busy today. I fixed up yesterday, but something has come up, so I won't be able to come. And then I went to the court. And then even in court, when I held on to my racket, my hands were sweating. And then I started playing. And then I see, okay, first maybe he didn't. Maybe he's off his game a little bit. To let go of the idea that he's good at tennis may take me half an hour. Why? It's conditioning. It's just a thought, but the order in which the thought went in. The first thought went into my mind is he's good at tennis. The next direct experience is he's actually not good at tennis. Or the first thought to get this time. And this was just a very simple example. But here, the thought that I am the BMI, we have nurtured it over lifetimes. And in this, so to let go of resistance. But all that is required to experience or to be established, I don't experience, because even just in the previous shloka, we said you can be the self, you cannot see the self. Because if I want to see my face, I have to look at another mirror. I just can't see my own face because it's a part of me. So when I am the self, I can only be the self, I can see the self. So when we say Atma Darshana is being established in the awareness every moment. What awareness? That I am infinite, that I am bliss, that I am peace, that I am existence, I am awareness. To be in that awareness, 4/7/365. So all that requires is for me to let go of this small, paltry little I am BMI thought. But letting go is becoming more and more difficult for me only because of the conditioning, the preconditioning that I have been strengthening for so long. But Bhagavan says, you can let it go. Don't think that you can't. Each time you think about the self, each time you think about your true nature, each time you pay more and more attention to your true nature, then we are in the some of the previous shlokas, the shift of attention. When you give less and less attention to I am BMI and more attention to I am the self, then what happens? This identity with the instruments becomes weaker and weaker. So from this Purusha Suktam shloka, we are seeing that the Purusha himself is there in every being. And every being is also part of the Purusha or Ishwara. So this is the story from Chandogya Upanishad. This is actually narrated by Bhagavan to a devotee when he was explaining the concept of Ishwara and Jiva to the disciple. So in this story, there is a villager. Now this villager, you can see upper right-hand corner on the top, there is a man sleeping. So there is this villager sleeping very comfortably in his own bed. He dreams that somebody came while he was sleeping, somebody came. They put some drugs into his nose. Some kind of drugs were put into his nose. And then he was blinded. And then his hands were tied up with a rope. And he was carried into the jungle and left deep inside a jungle, a very thick forest. And those captives who took him there, they just disappeared. So this villager wakes up. He's away. So in the forest, somehow he gets up, though his hands are tied and his eyes are tied, somehow gets onto his feet. He's not walking. See, Normally, when we can't see, what do? We feel, no? We put out our hands like this and we feel what is there in front of us. But his hands are also tied. So he's walking, there are thorns. So he can't see anything. He's having a miserable time. He's far away from home, nobody to help him. He's terrified. How do I get back? If I don't get back, I'll just starve and die here. So he's wandering in the forest, blindfolded, hands tied, and then he becomes very helpless and he starts weeping. So when he starts weeping, a deva appears, an angelic being appears, and he says, "Why are you crying? This villager is so overjoyed. Somebody is talking to me. There is somebody here who can help me." So he tells him, "See, all this happened to me. I am from such and such a village. I don't know now what to do, how to get there." So this angelic being unties his hands, removes the blindfold, and then he says, "Actually, can you see that path over there? Between the trees, that path? All you need to do is walk on that path for a few miles and it leads straight to your village. Still enough light, just walk and go back to your village. Don't worry." So this man is really happy. He's free now and he begins to walk. Walks, he goes back, and then he's tired. He lies down on his bed and then he wakes up. So when he wakes up, he's lying on the bed. And then he looks, the door is locked from inside. Then he says, "Oh my God, that was all just a dream." And what a dream it was. Such a terrible dream. From this story, there are two things we learn. The first thing is, just like Maya Shakti is there, which works to project Ishwara and entire creation, Maya Shakti, like it's creative. It's a sense of imaginative quality, the creative potential. So each one of us, the same potential is there. And we see it manifest in a dream. When we are dreaming, this Kalpana Shakti or the imaginative faculty, the faculty that creates and imagines. When I'm lying down, this creative faculty working through my mind, imagined the forest, imagined the kidnapper, imagined being blindfolded, imagined being tied up, imagined getting drugged through the nose, imagined feeling helpless in the forest, imagined the deva who came, and imagined the walk back to the village. The entire thing, all the characters, the whole forest with thousands of trees, the thorns, the wet earth, the smell of the forest, the smell of the flowers, everything was just a manifestation of my own mind. Every dream is a manifestation of my own mind. Gone through this often enough, but Vedanta keeps pointing to our experience of the three states. Again and again and again, Vedanta points to waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. Because the microorganism, that is the Jiva, is modeled after the macroorganism or Ishwara. So by understanding our own experience, drawing inferences from it, it helps us to relate to our true nature. So here, my Kalpana Shakti, my imaginative faculty or creative faculty became every single thing in the dream. But when I woke up, none of it was real. So also the waking state. So that one truth we learn from this dream. Then Bhagavan says to the disciple who asked him the question, he says, there are two things. One, a guru is very essential in your life because a guru, Ishwara, Brahman, self, all of them are the same. Guru is a manifestation of the self. Your own self, manifested as the guru, comes to point the way to you. So out of great compassion, the guru comes to point out the way to those who want to exit non-stop cycle of suffering. So he says, that is the way. When the guru points out, the Shishya has to walk. The guru can't walk for the Shishya. Shishya has to have enough faith. The man in the forest trusted what the Deva said. If he had not trusted Deva, he had said, how do I know? This Deva is coming and telling me, he might be a mischief maker. And there is another path there, and that is another path. I feel that path leads to my village, not this one. So let me walk on that path. Then if he had gone on that path, it would have taken him somewhere else, maybe deeper into the forest. Maybe he would have got more and more lost walking around in circles. But he trusted the Deva. He had faith in the words of the Deva. And then he followed the path pointed out by the angelic being. And he reached his house. Bhagavan says, the Guru will point the way to you, but you should have trust in the Guru. You should understand his teachings properly and then follow faithfully. You have to walk the path. The Guru will point the way. Even Buddha says, Apo Deepo Bhava. He tells Ananda, most faithful disciple, he tells Ananda, when Ananda says, if you are gone, how will I attain the state of Nibbana? With you beside me, I didn't attain it. Now you are going to take Mahasamadhi. The last few minutes of Bhagwan Buddha's life. You are going to take Mahasamadhi. Bhagwan, what will happen to me? So Buddha says, pathfinders only show the way. Or even a Buddha can only point the way. But you have to walk the path, Ananda. Apo Deepo Bhava, be a light unto yourself. A guru is absolutely necessary. Without a guru, we may be wandering around in circles forever. But once a guru comes and tells us what path to follow, what to do, Guru customizes it heavily for the disciple. Every disciple, it will be customized according to the vasanas that bind the disciple. And the disciple goes on and walks the path. So that also we learn from this story.
What is this customizing to vasanas?
For each person, for me, my vasanas will be different. Janki Ramji has asked what is meant by customizing. Different, my conditioning is different, my upbringing is different. I may already not be so much on the bhakti path, I may not be on the karma path, I may already be on the path of jnana. For example,
which part to okay, suitable? Thanks.
For each person, what binds, the binding factors may be a little different. And what they're following may be different. The status in life may be different. The way they think will be different. The way they understand will be different. So for each disciple, the Guru will explain in such a way that it gets past the conditioning. My conditioning will block me from understanding the teachings of the Guru. For every disciple, it happens. Suppose I start talking to you about something to which you have no inclination at all. You will listen for a few minutes and after that you may switch off mentally. Suppose I start talking against one of your favorite beliefs. If you believe, this is just an example, don't take it literally. If you believe that there is life after death, and if I am saying that there is no death at all, even life after death is another plane of existence. But if you are anchored in self-knowledge, you will transcend all that. My belief is telling me life after that, death is there, all these different subtle planes are there. But if the teacher tells me all these are only at the level of the mind, therefore, go beyond it, go beyond all these beliefs, then I might outright reject it. I may say, teaching doesn't make any sense to me. It is contradicting everything that I've believed so far, everything that is shaping my life. So if you reject it, then the disciple cannot trust the Guru or have faith in the Guru or walk on the path. So what a Guru does is, he will slowly get past the vasanas and give the teaching. So the vasanas cannot block, vasanas cannot distort. In that way, he gives teachings to the disciple. And for every disciple, a set of vasanas will be different. That's why we are all different. Our vasanas are making us different from each other. Is that clear?
Thank you.
Okay. So, moving on from here. Now, I remember Bhagavan said whenever he refers to I, he means I. In one of the shlokas, we came to that. So, I is the witness or the self. We also understood my waking state is quite different from dream state. Nothing that is there in my waking state exists in my deep sleep state. And in my dream state, I take on a subtle body and a different world. Every dream is different. But my waking world does not exist as it is in my dream world. My house may come, my spouse may come, my children may come into my dream. But the way my world exists in waking state, exactly like that, it will not be in the dream state. So dream body is different, deep sleep is different, waking state is different. The waking person doesn't exist in the dream. Dream person doesn't exist in waking state. Neither of them exist in deep sleep state. We have gone through this before, just once again reminding what I is. So Ramana Maharshi says this I is a continuous witness which is there in all three states. It's the self. The waking state ends when we go to sleep. Deep sleep ends when we have a dream. Dream ends when we go back to deep sleep or when we wake up. So all of them are discontinuous. I have 16 hours of waking state, then maybe 2-3 hours of deep sleep, and then maybe some sporadic periods of dream. none of them keep on going continuously. So they're mutually exclusive of each other. But there is a witness who is aware of all these states. Remember, we compared it to the string and the beads. If you say waking state is one bead, dream state is one bead, deep sleep state is one bead, they're all not related to each other. But the string that passes through all the beads is continuous. And it is aware of each state, and it exists independent of the states also. So that is I. I is absolute, I is the self, I is Brahman. When we wake up in the morning, in deep sleep, it is almost like I, except that I don't know it is my true nature. There is no name, there is no form, there is no time, there is no space, there is no limitation, there is no border, there is no barrier. I am infinite, I am peace, I am bliss. Then when I wake up in the morning, I become aware that I exist. I am. That is why we did the meditation also today before we began the shloka. In the meditation state, we became aware of I am. I exist, I know that I exist. That is the Ishwara state. So I am. I have not identified with anything. I was formless. I have just come out from that formless state. And I'm saying, I am, I exist. I have the potential to identify with anything at that point of time. I can go back and say, I. Or I can go outward and say, I am this entire creation. Or I can come into this, identify only with this one BMI and say, I am only this BMI. Then what happens? As we become more awake, I am the body. By body, we mean all the Panchakoshas. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Jnanamaya, Anandamaya. I am the body, mind, intellect. I am the senses. I am all my roles. Then I say I'm really awake. I'm fully awake. I am Vani, or I am Janki Ram, or I am Sajini, or I am Malti, or whatever is my name. But essentially, it is only, I'm getting a message here that says you are now the host of this meeting. What should I do? Ravi?
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Huh?
No, you can go ahead. I think no problem.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Aniket is there, Aniket.
So, I came from I state in deep sleep, except I didn't know that that is my true state. I came to I am, I exist. I became aware that I exist. And then if I continue, I can identify with anything. I identified with I am this body, mind, and intellect. So, Jiva, Ishwara, self. It is only the costume that is different. If I identify with the entire creation, that is the costume of Ishwara. Jnani, who has dropped the I am the BMI idea, for him, every single creature in creation is a part of his own being. But for an Ajnani, who has imperfect knowledge, Ajnana does not mean lack of knowledge, it means distorted knowledge. It means imperfect knowledge. So if you have imperfect knowledge, then I identify with my instruments and I say, I am the Panchakoshas. This is my identity. But in fact, the core, the essence remains the self. Without the self, I cannot identify with anything. So the self and Jiva. And at every stage, the consciousness is the same. I existence, consciousness, bliss. I am, existence, consciousness is there. I am the body, existence, consciousness is there. That's why I know I exist every moment. But because I limited myself, immediately what happened? I limited myself, I lost the bliss. Whatever happens to this body, mind, intellect will keep on shattering my peace and bliss. So we come to Shloka 25. Let's chant it together. Veshahanatah svatmadarshanam Veshahanatah svatmadarshanam Ishadarshanam svatmarupatah Ishadarshanam svatmarupatah. Veshahanatah. If you remove the costume, if you discard the form, then Svatma Darshanam, your own self. Darshanam here being your own self. We should not interpret it as seeing your own self. Being your own self is Isha Darshanam. Once you let go of the limiting identity, when you remove the costume of BMI, then what is left is your own true self, Svatma Darshanam. You just need to drop this, that's all. I don't know what happened to the presentation. I'll share again. Okay. So everybody can see it, right? You see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay. So when we drop the form, when we drop the thought I am BMI, when we drop that conditioning of the mind, that I am the BMI, automatically what is left is only Svatma Darshanam. That is, I am the self. I realize that I am the self. And next line, Sri Ramana is saying, Isha Darshanam Svatma Rupataha. Isha Darshanam, the realization of God, is final only when you realize it, when you realize God as your own self. If you realize God as Kali or Ganesha or Krishna, we have gone through these examples with the life of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Then we looked in one of the earlier sessions at Poonjaji or HWL Poonjaji, also known as Papaji, who was a disciple of Ramana Maharshi, who was a devotee of Krishna. All the time he could play with Krishna. Krishna would come and go, and he was very happy. Then Bhagwan asked him, "He is really God. How can he come and go? What is the definition of Sat? That which is always there, which never comes and goes, which never has birth and death, which is permanent. So if your Krishna is God, then he should be there all the time. How is it he comes only when you have a vision? He plays with you and he goes away." And Poonjaji didn't like that question. But after some time, after some months, he realized when he became established in the self, he realized that true vision of God is a vision of God in form of your own self. When you realize your own self, that is the ultimate. Even vision of a form of God is not ultimate. It is only a byproduct. You have a great affinity with the Ishtadevata. That Ishtadevata, your mind itself will take the form of that Ishtadevata and appear in front of you to appease you. Yes, it's very nice. It's exhilarating. But you need to move past that. That's what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also did. With the sword of his discrimination, he actually slit Kali in two. That is how it's described. But what it means is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa realized that even Kali is a part of his own mental realm. He has to go beyond. He has to go to the formless. And he went beyond. So, Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupataha. When is your journey complete? If you can call it a journey. Journey is complete only when you realize that God was never different from the true self. You and God and self are all the same. When you understand that they are synonyms, that is when the journey ends. And then Bhagavan says, and what is the journey? In the dream, the man was sleeping. In his dream, he went, got lost in the forest, and then he came back. In the story which we have just seen from Chandogya Upanishad. So he says, all that time, just like he was already sleeping in bed. But in his dream, he thought he was in the forest and somebody had blindfolded him, etc. So, you are already the self. Even right now, wherever you are sitting, whatever you are listening to, whatever you are talking, whatever you are doing, you are already the self. You have ever been the self. And this entire journey that I am suffering, just like that man, I am blindfolded, my hands are tied, I don't know the way, I don't know how I will reach home. The same way we are thinking, I'm suffering, my body health is compromised, my mind keeps getting upset, my intellect is so confused. When will the whole corona situation end? So much suffering is going on. Bhagavan says, even right now, when you're thinking all those things, you are the self. But when you realize the God that you have been seeking, happiness that you have been seeking, the peace that you have been seeking, you are already that. And when you see God as your own self, that is when this dream journey ends. You were always that. But because you got identified with the instruments, just like that man got identified with his dream body, you got identified with his dream body. And because of that, you are suffering. And then Deva came and showed the way. So Guru has to come and show you the way. And then you have to do sadhana. And after that, you will realize you were always that. Just like that man realized, he had already been sleeping on the bed throughout the night. So when the various conditionings of the body, mind, and identification with name and form are shed, the self is realized. The vision of the Lord as the self is true self-realization. So this is what Bhagavan is emphasizing, underlining, hammering into us. So these are metaphors. given by Vedanta to help us understand this concept a little better. Now, a sea has so many waves. A sea has so many waves on it. Now, if each wave begins to think, I am the wave, different from other waves, I'm different from the sea, then what happens? That is like a jiva. Each wave separates itself, gives itself an identity. And it says, I am different, ocean is different, the other waves are different. But if the wave looks at water, the ocean is made up of water, I am made up of water, therefore, I am water, ocean is water, we are the same. So if you identify with name and form, it makes us feel different. If we identify with the essence, we realize we are one. In the space of pot, this also quite recently we looked at, but it's a very strong metaphor at which Vedanta points again and again. So I just put it back. Now the space inside the pot, if we think that the space inside the pot has to merge with the space outside the pot, we may think we need to break the pot. But actually, do we need to break the pot? If you have water in this pot and you shift the pot from one place to another place, does the water move with the pot or not? Does it move with the pot? Of course, it moves with the pot, right? Otherwise, there would be a big mess everywhere. But if I don't put anything into the pot and I move the pot, is the space inside the pot moving with the pot, or is the pot moving through space? I'll repeat the question. Is the space inside the pot moving when we move the pot, or is the pot moving through space? Actually, the pot is moving through space, right? So space is everywhere all the time. We just, if the space inside the pot, if it assumes an identity and it says, I belong only to the pot, then it becomes Jivatma. But if the space actually, when the pot moves, the space does not move, only pot moves. That is reality. So with the space in the pot lets go of the identity, then it realizes it has always been part of the Bhutakasha. So we have a beautiful word called Chidakasha. Chidakasha is consciousness, awareness. So Jiva and Ishwara, in essence, they are the same. It's only costume, awareness, form, intelligence, and awareness, that is, it creates the difference between them. So Kathopanishad, I've just taken some quotes which underline this point from chapter 2 of the Kathopanishad. The Supreme Being is not merely the transcendental presence Brahman. He is not merely the Supreme called Ishwara. He is also the cosmic prana, the life of all beings. The Supreme Being is Ishwara. Supreme Being is the life of all beings. He is the core or essence of all beings. Then that is Shloka 7. Shloka 6, I've taken only the relevant part of the Shloka. He is in your own heart as the core of your being. And the 10th Shloka of chapter 2 in Kathopanishad says, to this universal being, there is no near and far. What is there is here. What is here is there. Who perceives manifoldness goes from death to death. So just like the pot moving through space, Space is always there. The self is always there. Even right now, self is powering what we do. Our true being is the self. If the self is not there, we cannot do anything. If self is not there, we don't exist. So self is already there. There is no near and far for the self. If I hold up two hands like this, there is a space between one hand and the other hand, right? So if I say this hand is far from this hand, or it is coming closer, or it is moving farther, I can say that. But if I think of the space around the hand, around each hand, there is no near and no far. My hands may move, but there is no distance between my hand and space. So like that, the shloka is saying, so far as the universal being is considered, there is no near and there is no far, because he is everywhere all the time. It is he who manifests in different forms. It is he who exists even when all these forms perish. But the one who does not realize this, who will look at everything as manifoldness, he doesn't realize that the essence of everybody is the self. He doesn't realize the unity underlying all beings, unity underlying entire creation. Such a one goes from death to death. That means he's caught in the cycle of birth and death. Rebirth, rebirth, rebirth goes on happening. As long as you identify the body, you can't let go of the body. When one body goes, you automatically seek another body, because your existence depends on a body being there with which you can identify. That is what makes you a jiva. But when we let go of identification with the body, then automatically we are the universal being, because we have always been the universal being. Then how do we get on in day-to-day life? If we are the universal being, if everybody is one with us, then disciple asked Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi, then a jnani, will he treat everybody equally all the time? So Bhagwan says, I'll tell you a story. This is a story from the scriptures. The story about King Janaka. King Janaka was a jnani, but he also continued to rule the kingdom. Outside, he is playing his roles, but in his being, he is the infinite self. Somebody wanted to test King Janaka. So to King Janaka's court, that person brought in a group an elephant, a cow, a dog, a Brahmin, and an untouchable. Elephant, dog, cow, Brahmin, and untouchable were all brought into the court of King Janaka. And this person said, O king, all of these are your atithis, they are your guests. Please honor them. Atithi Devo Bhava. Treat them as your guests and honor them. So King Janaka said, all right. Take the elephant to the elephant stables, dog to the kennel. Take the cow to the Goshala. Take the untouchable to the place where he lives. Take the Brahmin to where the Brahmins are. And then serve each one of them with their favorite delicacies. This person was puzzled. He said, they say that you are a jnani. They say that to you all beings are equal, but you are not treating these 5 guests. I brought them all to you at the same time. You're treating them unequally. You sent each one away to a different place, and now you're saying serve them their favorite delicacies. You could have done it here in court. So King Janaka says, no, there is this feeling of comfort zone. The dog was not comfortable here in court. He wanted to bark, everybody was saying, shh, be quiet. Elephant was not comfortable here. He wanted to eat grass, there is no grass in court. The cow was not comfortable here, was looking for her calf. The Brahmin was not comfortable here, wanted to go back to his studies, to studying the scriptures. The untouchable was not feeling comfortable here. He felt out of place. He wanted to go back to where he felt he belongs. He just first created a comfort zone for all of them. And each one of them have different delicacies. I can't feed grass to the Brahmin. I have to feed it only to the elephant. I can't feed, again, I can feed grass to the cow, but I cannot feed it to the dog. Dog will not eat grass. I have to give dog what he wants. I have to give a Brahmin his diet. I have to give an untouchable his diet. Only then they are happy. So I took care of their comfort. I took care of their happiness. So here Bhagavan is saying, role play is important. You have so many roles in the external world. Play each role. Yes, everybody is a part of your own being. But understand what he or she wants and try to give it to them. So internally, we are anchored in the true state of being. Externally, we play our roles efficiently. So this is Sahaja Samadhi. Externally, we are active, but we are always aware of the true state of being. This is what we have understood today. Isha and Jiva are not different. If we let go of the costumes, the name and form, we let go of the conditioning, then in essence, they are exactly identical. So thank you for being a part of this session. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Let me just come out of the presentation.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Do you have anybody can mute and ask also, or anyway, what is here I'll read.
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
Ramesh Puttanna is saying, Purusha Suktam is a wonderful concept of universal consciousness and how it relates to individual consciousness. Beautifully explained, Vaniji. Thank you. Systemizing to asanas brings out clearly the necessity for Guru. Thanks. That is Janki Ramji. If only we recognize the string that connects all the three beads that are mutually exclusive, enables us to understand who we are. At knowledge level, it is very clear. How feasible is it in the day-to-day world? Can you give a few effective ways that brings us closer to the self? Thanks again. Thanks again for the beautiful discourse on understanding oneself. Okay, he says thank you. We did the I am meditation, right? Is it difficult to become aware of the direct experience that you exist? Katyani? You find that easy? Is
It's
Katyani
not.
here?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm here.
So were you able to do that? I am.
I was.
Is
I
it
could do
difficult?
that. But it's difficult, but the level of concentration is not the same all the time. It's not difficult.
No, what you can do, because this question you asked, I'm just saying it, in between tasks, you've finished one task, you need to go on to the other, you have some time, say even 2-3 minutes. Internally go to I am. Just be aware I exist, that's all. You don't have to do anything. Outside you are as you are, but inside I am. All the time anyway you are aware that you exist, isn't it? If I ask you in a dark room, are you there, Katyayani, what will you say? You need light. Somebody has to shine a torch to see whether your body is there.
Right.
You need to touch yourself.
My question.
No, so I'm saying through the day, if you go to either go to witnessing state whenever possible, or just go to I am state, even 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes through the day. You get 1 minute, you get 2 minutes, you get 3 minutes. Just rest in I am. Nothing to do. I exist. I know that I exist. That's all. Just be there. That will really connect you to the self. You find it becoming easier and easier and easier, and it's nice to do it. You feel like doing it. After some time, you'll find that you're resting there between tasks without even trying you're there. So it's a very powerful, simple way to do it. Just one suggestion. Of course, there are many ways to do it, but I think that's a very easy way to do it. Who is Guru and when? Okay, thank you. Who is Guru and when Guru will get manifested? Could you please reiterate, madam? Guru is the one. Sadguru has, according to Vedanta, Sadguru should have 3 qualifications. Okay. Sadguru has to be a jnani. That means he has to be anchored in the self. So he has to be a jnani. He should be familiar with the framework of the scriptures, and he should be good at communicating this truth to qualifications. So normally a Sadguru comes to us when an intensity builds up in us. We are doing sadhana, we are focused, we get more and more focus, more and more chitta shuddhi, more and more focus. That is the most important thing to us. When it starts becoming like that normally, a Sadguru will come into your life. So that is how it happens. Who has put this question?
Vaniji, I missed the answer for my question. I couldn't hear anything. It was totally blank. Would you be able to repeat, please? Could you please repeat it? Can you hear me, Vaniji? No.
Vani, we can't hear you. Someone's asking questions. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything, Suchini. I couldn't hear anything. I was not able to hear the response for my question. So it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we can continue next time, but
Maybe you could start next time by asking this question again.
yeah, maybe that's better. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will do that. I will do that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
She's logging in again. The laptop went off power. You can speak through this. Katyayani couldn't hear anything. She wants you to repeat.
Okay, sorry, my laptop ran out of battery. Just logging in again. So Katyayani ji, you could not hear. Which question is this?
My question was
Is it about the Guru? Is it about...
No, at the knowledge level, we are aware of what it is being understanding self. But in the at the day-to-day level, I mean, we are still conditioned by vasanas, right? I was asking if you could give us a few tips so that we could effectively come closer to the self. I do understand that we do meditation. Of course, that is one effective way, but we don't do meditation the whole day. But something that would really keep us to be conscious.
What I told you about I am, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. So what I told you about I am is a very, very practical tip.
Okay.
I am is your true self. The state of I am.
Okay.
The witness that is aware of every thought, the witness that is aware of what is happening in the mind. When you say I am not aware of my true self, when I'm doing other things, who knows that? Can we have a dialogue? Who knows?
I lost you again. I think you're breaking up, Vaniji. I think probably it's my phone too.
Maybe there's a problem with your phone.
If we are running out of time, we can do it next. Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
Clear. We can hear.
So what I'm asking you is, you are saying that in your day-to-day routine, you understand this in your mind, in your intellect, but in your day-to-day routine, how to remain close to this truth. Isn't
exactly. It? That was my question. Yes.
Okay. So you were there when we did the I am meditation, you said, and you could feel the I am also, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to feel, isn't it? Right now, are you aware that you exist?
Of course.
Of course. It's the most
Otherwise, I'm not
thing.
where I am. Yes. Uh-huh.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is the self. The knowledge that you exist. That is the Sat and Chit. Sat is existence, Chit is awareness.
But
Sat is the truth of
BMI. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, one moment, let me finish. Sat is the truth of your existence. Chit is the awareness of this existence. So I am is Sat and Chit. The Ananda component will only come when you let go of the limitation. Ananda is equal to Ananta. Ananta means eternal, which is infinite. So when I become infinite, when there are no limitations upon me, then I am always happy. The minute limitations come up, my happiness is conditioned. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When I want something, I don't get it, I'm not happy. When I want something, I get it, I'm happy. So continuously conditions are getting applied on the state of happiness. That's because I think I am limited. I think I am this body, mind, and intellect. So whatever happens to them is happening to me. Together so far.
Mm-hmm.
So if I let go internally, what is identifying with the body and mind? Is the body saying it is me?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I saying I am the body? Is the body saying it is me?
I am the body?
I am saying I am the body, right?
Right.
The body doesn't say it is me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The mind and intellect don't say they are me. I am saying I am the mind and intellect. Right? There is a part of me which is saying whatever happens to the mind has happy thoughts, I am happy. Mind has unhappy thoughts, I am unhappy. So what Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi is saying, to let go all of a sudden may not be possible for everybody, for most of
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
Because that thought has a very strong hold over us. So to let go is all at once is difficult. So what he is saying is, either by asking who am I, whenever a thought comes, you can ask who am I, to whom does this thought come? It comes to me. So who am I? The mind is quiet. That quietude is your true nature. Stay there. Another thought comes. Until the next thought comes, just be there. If the next thought comes, then again ask, for whom is this thought? It is for me. And who am I? So this is a sort of verbal sadhana.
So it's more an evolution.
So you can, other than that, you can also, finally, when you are saying who am I, you are going to I am state. Every time you ask who am I and there is no answer, you are going to I am state. So instead of that, you can directly go to I am state also. Every time when you don't have a task, 1 minute, 2 minutes, I exist. So the more often we do that, the stronger that part becomes, the weaker the I am being my thought becomes. You are giving it less attention, you are giving this more attention. So whatever you give more attention to grows in intensity. Whatever you are giving less attention to, it also loses its hold over you. It begins to lose its hold over you. It's easy to do through the day. Just remember, whenever you remember, okay, right now I am. It becomes easier and easier. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's very practical because it doesn't need any particular place or time, or there are no conditions on it. You can do it anytime, anywhere, for any amount of time, small time, large time. So it's an easy way to stay in touch practically.
Yeah, that makes the. Thank you. Now I understand.
Okay.
I was just thinking of something.
Okay,
Thank you,
you.
Dwaniji. Thank you. It's ultimately it is sadhana, I guess. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I think that is it. So let's just meditate for 2-3 minutes. I've already done the I am meditation in the beginning, just to tune in once again before we log off. Can you close your eyes for a moment? Just become aware that you exist. I am. Your state of being. Feel the peace. Let us offer our pranams to Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi for his wonderful teaching, to all the Sadgurus for the light they throw on the path. May their grace be with us. May this awareness which has been ignited remain with us and anchor us in our true nature. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of this satsang, for the inspiration that you have given me. I hand over to Malvi.
Thank you, Vani. This session was really very good, and I have to say the way you covered the two slokas, the 24th and the 25th, was really excellent. What was explored in this were the main differences and similarities, between the individual, Jiva, God, and Ishwara, and how does the concept of God figure in self-realization. We're now looking forward to seeing you again and hearing you next Saturday at the same time at 6 p.m. Tomorrow, Mr. Krishnapani will be available at 10 a.m. to do his next session on Tattva
Good
Bodha.
teacher.
And this Thursday at 10 a.m. and on this Thursday, which is the 10th of September, we will have a very illustrious guest, Father Yuvantius Andrade, who will be speaking on a very interesting subject, journeying through aging and dying. So those of you who are interested to join, details will be on the School of Ancient Wisdom WhatsApp group, and it will be at 6:30. So please do join. Now let us all just mute all our microphones, and I will chant Loka Samasta and send good energies with all of you to people who need it most. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you to all the participants and the organizers who made this program possible. And to you, Vani, one more big thank you. You've been one of our greatest teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malti. Thank you, everyone. It's been a joy to be part of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vani.
Thank you.
And thanks
Thank you so
everybody
much.
for organizing this. Really appreciate it. Thank you.